Hello my wonderful visionaries and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Mortal Sin. This is an early access game. I've played for about 5 hours so far. It's a first-person roguelike RPG set in a medieval setting, dripping with religious iconography and devilish iconography as well, pentagrams, sheep skulls. Basically everything that ends up on a metal cover is in this game. I can't help but think of Ken Russell's The Devils. If you've seen that movie, you'll know what I'm talking about, and if you've not seen The Devils, it's weird, it's strange, and this game just reminds me of it. The art style looks fantastic. It's one of the things that really stands out with this game. It's almost a rotoscoped but not quite rotoscoped slash cell shaded look, but it's not quite cell shaded. Brilliant use of contrast with bright red backgrounds against darker figures. The aim of the game is to complete 3 different areas. So you've got the dungeon, you've got the cave, and you've got the forest. To complete a run, you have to beat all 3 of these levels back to back in any order to reach the end game. Each level has an A, B, and a C version. For example, once you beat Cave A, that's it. You have to do either the dungeon or forest B, and then for C, you have to pick which one you didn't choose. So Cave A, Dungeon B, Forest C. They can be in any order, but you can only play one of those areas once. The Cave A, the Cave B, and the Cave C all get progressively harder, which is great for replay value because you can mix and match, really. You just have to make sure that you beat each area, either A, B, or C, in one run to get to the end game. At the end of each of these sections, you return to your hub where you can purchase potions and get some upgrades as well. At the time of writing, I haven't reached the end game, as this game is pretty hard. Moving on to the B levels, it does ramp up, enemies rush you, they can come from all different directions, you have environmental hazards to worry about, as well as managing health and wizard oils. Items can break in the game, and wizard oils fixes them. You essentially have another bar to manage, which is definitely a learning curve, as during a mid-fight, if you're going through a battle, your health's low, that's normal. You'll just quickly heal up and you're all good. But you don't necessarily expect mid-battle for your items to break. And this took a few runs to get used to, managing both of those bars, because once your items break, they are gone. Loot has its own stats and own buffs, so you could pick up some gauntlets or a helmet that give you extra luck. So if they get destroyed, you lose your luck bonus or your health bonus. So you definitely want to make sure you keep on top of the health of your gear as well as your own health. I can imagine some players will hear that and go, I hate items that break in games, that sounds awful, red flag, I do not want to touch. And initially I thought this could be a problem, but if your item breaks, the rate in which you pick up loot is so frequent that you can just pick up another one and continue. It doesn't completely kill your run, but if you don't focus on that, it can make the run quite difficult if you just lose all of your gear. And making sure that you're using your wizard oil mid-battle is something that took a little bit of time to get used to, but once I did, I actually thought it was quite a rewarding system that did add some complexity to the game and gave me something else to focus on as well. As you progress through these levels, completing them will grant you permanent upgrades. So say you beat level A4 on the cave, for example, there will be a permanent unlock after you beat it that will stick with you for the rest of the game. I like this as you feel rewarded no matter what for getting just a little further. So your permanent progression, the roguelite aspects of this game, are tied towards how much further you get in the game. And these are significant. One sees you add potions to the hub world. So at the start of a run, you have money that you would accrue throughout runs. That doesn't disappear. And you can buy potions at the start of your run, or in between the A, B, and C sections, you come back to this hub world before you start the next section. So if you're a little bit low on health potions, then you can bang, buy a couple and be on your way. As I mentioned before, loot is very frequent in this game, and if you find loot that you don't want to pick up, you can sell it, which is great because that goes into your main pool of money that you can then spend on other things that are more valuable to you. So none of this really matters unless the game nails that one more run feeling, and it absolutely does. It's genuinely intriguing to figure out how the mechanics of this game work. You're being drip fed different classes, different weapons, different areas as you play, different unlocks, and you can kick enemies into hazards, which feels awesome. So you might not even have necessarily a powerful weapon, but you have the option to kick, so you can kick them into spikes, you can kick them into, well, spinning spikes, you can just kick them into a lot of spikes, and that feels sweet. And your playstyle can greatly change depending on the classes that you go for. And I think this is one of the reasons that I haven't rolled credits yet, or even got to the final end game, was because I was slowly being drip fed new classes that really did change the way you play. You start off with a traditional normal character with a typical sword, has a very good stat distribution. Then I unlocked the mage. Mage has a little bit lower health, but I thought the mage had a way better weapon, and it completely changed the way the game plays. I used a berserker, I used a reaper. The berserker is pretty much guts from Berserk, just one big sword you can swing around. That was a lot of fun to play. And then you had the reaper, which was basically a glass cannon, does loads of damage, but only starts off with a 50% health pool. Really does change the way you play. And I just found myself experimenting with those. Instead of sticking with one, I would flip between them and try and learn them. So yeah, I think I would have got probably closer to the end of the game if I'd stuck with one, but it was a lot of fun just to mix and match and pop between them and try the different classes out. The game also has little challenge rooms that you can pop into, provide you with rewards. Some of these platforming sections are a lot of fun. One of them was simply just a reward room that just gave me a load of gear for entering. Some of these did repeat, which isn't the end of the world. I think they'll be able to put more of these levels into the game as we ramp up to the 1.0 release. So overall, my impressions of this game are super positive. So I do have a few things that I think could be changed for the 1.0 release, and all of these can be addressed, which is great. It's not something that's fundamental or core to the experience, you know, things that can be added to enhance what's already there. This is a repeating theme here, but some of the aspects of the game are repeated, like permanent buffs. I reckon you could have a few more of those in the game. Periodically throughout a run, you'll enter a room where you have a couple of different choices for a permanent buff, whether that be extra attack damage, say like a 1.1 or 1.2 increase to attack damage or defense, or your crit does more damage. After a few runs, I started to see a repeating pattern in the type of bonuses that were being given. Now, I don't know if later game, like right at the end, that changes, but I noticed a few that was set, and I was seeing repeated bonuses there, which I think, you know, just add a few more, that'd be great. As well as buffs, I did notice a few repeated rooms on runs as well. So notably in the cave section, I entered the same room with a bunch of enemies nearly every time. Of course, this is a solo dev and this is early access, but I would like to see a little more level variety throughout the game in general. Same could be said for the optional platforming rooms. I think we just need a little bit more here, which is great because it's early access, and, you know, wanting more of the game is a great thing. I was on the fence with durability, but I actually do think after playing the game for a while that it adds to the level of complexity to the game. Now hear me out here, I think weapons breaking in games is typically a terrible design choice, but I think there's enough diversity in the abilities of these weapons and the new weapons that you pick up, where picking up another weapon and just trying it out and seeing what you like, I mean, your weapon becomes pretty obsolete pretty quickly. You're probably going to have that weapon for 4 or 5 rooms and then find something that's better anyway, so it's not too much of a loss if you do lose a weapon, but you can get familiar with how it plays. One of the mage's staffs has a really good range to it, whereas another one summons crucifixes that spin around you and do kind of area of effect damage constantly until they disappear. I think I have been spoiled by other roguelikes in the past, because I would love some lore to dig my teeth into. Apart from text at the start of each run, we don't really have anything to chew on narratively. Is this important? No. Would I like it? Absolutely. I was thinking perhaps some pages that you could collect, maybe unlock some optional boss or an optional room or an optional ending, just something else to kind of chew my teeth into. The gameplay itself, the runs themselves are fun enough, but that would be a nice little addition, something to aim for long term. So should you buy this game? If you enjoy roguelikes, I absolutely think yes. The game feels mostly complete for an early access game, with the developer looking to add more before the 1.0 release. Don't be deterred by repeating levels, the gameplay is tactile and very fun. I found it very addictive. It absolutely nails that one more run feeling. First person melee combat has a learning curve with many classes to master. It feels very different, it feels very complete, and I wanna play more after this video goes up, and I will be doing so. So that is it for my impressions. If you liked the video, drop me a like or a comment down below, and if you hated it, let me know so I can be better for you. And subscribe if you want to keep up to date with my future shenanigans. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.